Hi sweet friends! Today I want to share with you the 5 most surprising anti-inflammatory beverages. Now this is part of a series that I started last week where I shared with you the 5 most surprising anti-inflammatory foods. But today we're going to focus on beverages. And if you want to be able to tamp down inflammation in your body, you're going to be really surprised and you're going to love these beverages. Anti-inflammatory beverage number 1, stinging nettle tea. If stinging nettle is something that's new to you, it's simply an herb. Now, if you are familiar with stinging nettle, you may know it as a natural remedy for allergies. But it's also wonderful as an anti-inflammatory to help tamp down inflammation throughout our bodies. And the reason stinging nettle often works as a natural remedy for allergies is because often seasonal allergies are caused by inflammation. Scientists have studied stinging nettle extensively, and they found that it contains a number of compounds as well as vitamins and minerals that help control inflammation in our bodies. Now, why do we want to control inflammation? The reason is too much inflammation can cause damage in our bodies. Certainly if we get a little cut or something like that, that's an inflammation, and we want our body's natural inflammation process to go ahead and start working on that and healing it. However, if your body is in a constant state of inflammation, that's causing damage throughout our bodies, which what does damage do? Damage leads to disease. Now, I'm not a doctor or any kind of medical professional. What I share with you is research that I've done on the different beverages that I'm going to share with you today. And I want you to know I also have a very detailed blog post that'll correspond with this video. The link will be in the description below. It'll take you over to my website, marysnest.com. And in that blog post, I will share all the scientific research around the beverages we're going to talk about today, so that you can then do your research as well and find out what beverages might agree with you and may help your particular type of inflammation. Now, stinging nettle is very easy to turn into a tea, and I think you'll find it tasty. It's very herbaceous, as they say. It has that nice herbal smell, relatively mild, and the tea is relatively mild, and you can certainly add a little honey or some other natural sweetener if you like that, or you can add some lemon. There's a lot of options as to how you prepare this tea based on what tastes you like. And if you're not much of a tea drinker, you can make little homemade capsules of stinging nettle. A lot of people do that. It's very common. Now, if stinging nettle is not something that's easy for you to find at your grocery store or at a health food store, I got my stinging nettle from Farmhouse Teas, and I just love this company. This is not a sponsored post. Cian, who is the owner of Farmhouse Teas, it's just a small family-owned business, is a friend of mine. And it's a wonderful company, and she's put together some information for you all about stinging nettle if you want to purchase it from her, along with different supplies for making stinging nettle tea, as well as capsules if you like to make stinging nettle capsules. And I'll have all that information in the description below. And she's also very kind to offer my viewers a discount on her products. So definitely check out that link. So if you're looking for a tasty way to tamp down inflammation in your body, stinging nettle tea is wonderful. You can enjoy it warm or you can enjoy it iced. Either way, you're going to get the benefits of its anti-inflammatory properties. So anti-inflammatory beverage number 1, stinging nettle tea. Now before we move on to number 2, I'll take a sip of this. It's very lovely. I think you're going to really enjoy it. I just wanted to pop in for a second in case you're new here and we're meeting for the first time. I'm Mary from marysnest.com and author of the Modern Pioneer Cookbook, and I want to welcome you to my kitchen. I'm so glad that you're here. And speaking of tea, anti-inflammatory beverage number 2 is black tea. Now, we hear a lot about green tea as well as white tea, and both are very rich in antioxidants, and they're wonderful beverages for us to enjoy. However, black tea, just the simple, humble black tea, is very rich in antioxidants as well as anti-inflammatory properties. Just as with the stinging nettle tea, you can drink this hot or you can drink this cold, as with iced tea. As a matter of fact, many of the studies that you read about the benefits of black tea, its anti-inflammatory properties, was done using iced tea or chilled tea in the case of the laboratory. Scientists are not always working with hot, freshly brewed tea, so that's good news for us. We can drink it hot when we make a fresh pot of tea, or we can just enjoy it cold as iced tea. No matter which way we enjoy it, we are getting the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatory properties from the black tea. Now, what about caffeinated and decaf? There's good news there as well. You can drink it caffeinated, or you can drink it decaffeinated. Both decaf black tea and caffeinated black tea are rich in anti-inflammatory properties. Now I want to take a minute here to talk about kombucha, which is made with black tea. That, as we know, is a wonderful beverage. It's very rich in probiotics. It's great for gut health, but it does need to be made a certain way. Now, I show you how to make homemade kombucha. It's very easy to make at home, and it's a lot more affordable than buying the bottles of kombucha at the grocery store. And I'll be sure to put a link to that video in the description below, because if you've ever, it's a very detailed video, so if you've ever wondered about how to make kombucha, or maybe you've run into some problems making kombucha, I think that video is really going to help you. But the secret to making kombucha so that it is truly kombucha is that you need to use caffeinated black tea. Classic kombucha should always be made with caffeinated black tea. And the reason is that the SCOBY, the S-C-O-B-Y, you will often see it all in capital letters, which stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeasts. Well, that SCOBY was bred to feast on the caffeine. A lot of people don't realize that, but the SCOBY was bred to feast on the caffeine of the black tea. Now, over time, can you train up, so to speak, your SCOBY to proliferate on other types of beverages? Yes, some people have more success at doing that than others. And in essence, you're creating a beverage other than kombucha, but one that still may be rich in probiotics. But people will try to train their SCOBY on decaf tea, on green tea, on white tea, on herb tea, on a whole host of different types of teas. But for the best results, make your classic kombucha with caffeinated black tea. You now have the antioxidant benefits of the black tea. You have the anti-inflammatory benefits of the black tea, and you've turned your black tea into a probiotic-rich beverage that's wonderful for gut health. Probiotics feed basically keep our, I'm not a scientist, but basically the bottom line is probiotics keep our digestive tract healthy. And scientists tell us the healthier our digestive tract is, the better we're able to absorb nutrients from our foods and beverages, and the better our overall health. So anti-inflammatory beverage number 2, simple black tea, and for a boost, turn it into kombucha. Anti-inflammatory beverage number 3, tibicose, or what some people just call Tibi. Now, tibicose is something that you may also know as water kefir or water kefir. Now, in my previous video where we talked about the 5 most surprising anti-inflammatory foods, I did mention a little bit about kefir or kefir, but a dairy-based kefir. Now, kefir made with the kefir grains, making it with milk, is a wonderful beverage. It's called the champagne of milk because it is a milk-based drink, but it has a lot of effervescence to it thanks to the good bacteria that's developed in it during the culturing process, and I enjoy it tremendously. But if milk is something that doesn't agree with you, water kefir, or tibicose, is a wonderful alternative. Tibicose, being a fermented beverage, is very rich in good bacteria or probiotics that, again, like we discussed before, is very good for our gut health. But it's also very rich in anti-inflammatory properties. And that's really the key to all of this. And I think that you will find as you explore this is that often foods that are rich in probiotics are often anti-inflammatory, because keeping the gut healthy tends to, or scientists find that keeping our gut healthy tends to increase the ability of the body to tamp down inflammation. I cover more about this in the blog post, but the bottom line is that when we have a very healthy digestive system and we are absorbing the nutrients from the foods and beverages that we're consuming, like I mentioned before, we get the vitamins and the minerals we need distributed very well through our body. And when our body has the right vitamins and minerals, along with all the antioxidants and various phytonutrients and so on and so forth that our body needs, everything functions better. And when our bodies function better, they're less likely to be, in essence, under assault. And that assault is basically the inflammation. And the more we can keep our bodies functioning well, absorbing nutrients, distributing those nutrients through our body, the better able our body, so to speak, is able to forge ahead and attack unnecessary inflammation and tamp that down. And the less inflammation that we have that we don't need, not, sometimes when you're ill or we get a cut like we discussed earlier, you may need the inflammation response, but it shouldn't be going 24/7. That's going to wear out our body, that's going to make us susceptible to disease, and all we want to do is create an environment where we're absorbing our nutrients and tamping down inflammation. Now, basically, how you make tibicus, or tibi for short, is actually very easy. All you need to do is acquire some of these grains. They're often sold under the name water kefir grains or water kefir grains. Now, I have a very detailed video where I show you how to make water kefir, and I'll be sure to link to that in the description below. And I also show you how to do a second ferment and flavor it, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. Now, I highly recommend that you acquire some grains. They're very affordable, and as you'll see in the video that I share, it's very easy to make water kefir, or tibicus, tibi, whatever you like to call it. They do sell these type of beverages pretty much everywhere today. Water kefir has become as popular, at least in the area where I live, as kombucha. And this is basically one, they may not say, they call it Kavita is the name of the company, but they also sell kombucha too. And if you look on the back and you look at the ingredients, it'll say water kefir culture. And so that's how you'll know that this is a water kefir. And they make all different flavors. This is a lemon cayenne. Again, cayenne, the cayenne pepper is very high in anti-inflammatory properties. So not only are they boosting the benefits of the anti-inflammatory properties that the water kefir gives you, they're also adding in additional benefits with the cayenne pepper to up that anti-inflammatory benefit. And like what we talked about with the black tea and the kombucha, you're also getting probiotics when you consume anti-inflammatory beverages in forms like this that have been cultured or fermented. And this is a lemon ginger water kefir. This is made the same way, again on the back, it's just a water kefir culture, and they're adding ginger, because ginger is a spice that, what do we know about ginger? I've shared with you many various recipes on this. It's very high in anti-inflammatory properties. It tamps down inflammation. And it also has antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial. Ginger is one of those spices that is incredibly healing and healthful. So what you can do is when you make your own water kefir, you can source your grains, follow the recipes that I share with you, and then follow the follow-up recipes where I show you how to flavor your water kefir to take it beyond just the basic flavored, just the basic beverage that you make with the grains. Now, what's one of the best ways, if you really want to push the, so to speak, anti-inflammatory envelope, what's the best way to do a second ferment on your water kefir, your tibicus, to really increase the anti-inflammatory nature of it? Do your second ferment with a little tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice has so many compounds in it that help to tamp down inflammation. And it can be exceptionally helpful for those of us who may struggle with arthritis. And I will include the studies all about tart cherry juice in my blog post that'll go along with this, that goes along with this video. Tart cherry juice is exceptionally helpful if you have conditions that involve arthritis in the feet, things like gout. This can help tremendously at tamping down that pain and discomfort. Now, you can make your water kefir the first time around with this, and as I show you in my second follow-up video to water kefir, you can go ahead and add in some tart cherry juice and do your second ferment. And you're going to make this wonderful fizzy beverage that's not only going to be tasty, it's going to be exceptionally healthy and healing. You're going to get all of the anti-inflammatory benefits, and you're going to get all the benefits associated with drinking a probiotic-rich beverage. Now, just keep in mind, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not a doctor. If you are suffering with different types of arthritis, definitely talk to your medical professional, whomever you use, a medical doctor, naturopath, nurse practitioner, whomever, dietitian, nutritionist, so on and so forth. Discuss these options in the beverages we're going to talk today with them, and also research and read all of the studies that I share with you, and then talk with your medical professional about what beverages may benefit your particular condition. So, anti-inflammatory beverage number 3, water kefir, tibicus, tibi, and then a second ferment with tart cherry juice. Anti-inflammatory beverage number 4, turmeric milk, but not just any turmeric milk, properly prepared turmeric milk, what many people may also know as golden milk. Now, in a previous video, I showed you how to properly make turmeric milk or golden milk, and I'll be sure to link to that video in the description below. The key to fully bringing out turmeric's anti-inflammatory properties is to make sure that it's mixed in some way with a fat and then heated. So that's why you'll notice in many traditional Indian dishes, the turmeric will be cooked with ghee before the other ingredients of the dish are added in. Oh, and I just want to mention something because I do get a lot of comments about this. If you're speaking English and you say turmeric, that is completely acceptable. You can also say turmeric, where you're getting more of the R in the word, and some people will even say turmeric. All of these pronunciations are acceptable. A lot depends on where you're from and what language you're speaking and what type of accent you have. Now, whole milk, the full fat milk, is excellent for making turmeric milk. Now, what if dairy doesn't agree with you? Coconut milk is a good option, the full fat coconut milk. The most important thing to remember is that in order to maximize the anti-inflammatory properties of turmeric, you want to make sure that in this case we use whole milk and black pepper. We want to use some freshly ground black pepper because it's an ingredient in black pepper that again helps maximize our body's ability, along with the fat from the milk and the ingredient that's in black pepper, that maximizes our body's ability to absorb the anti-inflammatory properties that are present in turmeric. Now, this is the very basic recipe for making a turmeric or golden milk, but you can add a lot more spices to boost the flavor. And most of the spices that are commonly added to a turmeric milk are wonderful in terms of their anti-inflammatory properties. So not only now are you getting the benefit of the turmeric, you're increasing the anti-inflammatory property of the turmeric milk by including these spices. And what are those common spices that are normally added to this basic recipe? You can add cardamom, ginger, cinnamon, cloves, allspice berries, anything like that that will help add those wonderful warming flavors, those wonderful warming spices, but will also increase the anti-inflammatory properties of the milk that you're drinking. Now, not only are you going to boost the anti-inflammatory properties of the milk, you're also going to be adding those, if you add those spices, just like turmeric, they contain all sorts of other benefits as well. Antiviral, antimicrobial, antibacterial, all the things that help fight not only inflammation, but can attack viruses and bacteria and different types of infections as well. And all of these spices have been heavily studied by scientists. So it's wonderful to know that we have things right in our pantry, right in our traditional foods pantries, that we can easily add to the beverages that we want to make, whether it's a hot tea or a milk like this, or other fermented beverages that we're making, whether it's kombucha or the water kefir, or even what I covered in the previous video, the dairy kefir. We can do these second ferments where we add all these additional flavorings and spices and herbs and create beverages that are so healthful for us and so much better than anything that we can buy or drink from the grocery store. And the good news is these cost a lot less to make homemade, and they're fresher, so everything is at its peak in order to give us those best nutrients as possible. And also, too, we control all the ingredients, so we can make things whatever flavorings we like. So the turmeric I have here, I also got this from Cian at Farmhouse Teas, and she has a lot of other wonderful spice mixtures that can make making something like a turmeric milk very easy. She has some wonderful ginger root here, which can be great. You can throw that into your saucepan along with your turmeric and your black pepper and your milk, warm it, and allow that ginger to steep into the tea. I love warming spices. I love ginger and cinnamon, cloves, allspice. You may like nutmeg. You might want to add star anise. All of these various spices have wonderful healing properties. But I am especially, I love ginger. I especially love adding that to many things that I make. Cian also has this wonderful herbal chai tea mixture. And this could be something that you could add to the golden milk that you're making. It contains organic cinnamon, organic cardamom, organic cloves, organic star anise, organic ginger, organic peppercorns. So you have like everything in there. You could leave this out and you just have your turmeric and your milk and then this wonderful herbal chai tea mixture. That's wonderful. And then one other thing I wanted to mention to you, because I feel that although I share with you how to make, well, a lot of the beverages we're talking about today, how to make all of these things homemade, I know that sometimes time is of the essence and you may be in a little bit of a rush, or maybe you're even under the weather and you're not feeling like making something homemade. And that's when I saw this that Cian sells. I thought it was just so terrific, It's a golden turmeric spice tea. And this has got the turmeric in it. And the other ingredients are very similar to what we just read in the chai tea. And then you can just sprinkle this in with your milk, warm it on the stove, and you're all set. Because this has, as I mentioned, the turmeric, it's got the ginger, again, all organic, cinnamon, cloves, peppercorns. Oh, and she's even added some stevia leaf in here. And calendula petals, which is, calendula is, and I think I always say this wrong. I know it's calendula, but I don't like, I'm so silly, I just don't like that pronunciation, but that's what it is, calendula. But which also have many wonderful healing properties and benefits. So this is terrific. So if you're just feeling, she calls it her golden turmeric spice tea. So if you're feeling that you're not up to a lot of effort, put that in your saucepan, add your milk for the fat, your whole milk or your coconut milk, your whole milk, whole dairy milk, your whole milk dairy milk from the cow, or your coconut milk, warm that on your stove top, and you've got a wonderful healing beverage that's not only anti-inflammatory, but also adds in all these other benefits. And you'll see when if you get a chance to watch the video where I make the golden milk, that is something that I would give to my son when he would be very under the weather with like a cold or a flu. And in that video, I'll share it here in case you didn't get a chance to see it, but in that video I share the story where he was recovering or dealing with a flu one summer. And I don't think there's anything worse than having that type of illness, a flu or a heavy cold in the summer, because you go from the heat and the air conditioning and whatnot. But in any event, I had all his drapes closed so he could sleep well. And he was just a little guy. And I was bringing him the turmeric milk. And he couldn't really notice it, the color or anything. And he would just drink it down. And he would say, "Oh, Mama, this is so good." I'd sweeten it with a little honey. And he's like, "Oh, Mama, this is so good." And makes me feel better. And then he was feeling better and he came out to the kitchen and he said, "Oh, Mama, can I have some of that milk that you made for me?" I said, "Oh, sure." So I made a batch up, and when I put it in front of him, he looked down and he went, "It's yellow!" Which is very cute. I said, "Oh, yeah, it has a spice in it that turns it yellow." And at first he was like a little, turned off by it. But then he said, "Well, it was really good and it made me feel a lot better, so I'm going to drink it." So anti-inflammatory beverage number 4, turmeric milk or golden milk. Now, before we move on to number 5, I just want to share something with you that I think is very interesting. If you remember when we talked about the water kefir and doing a second ferment with a flavoring like the tart cherry juice, you can also do a second ferment with your homemade kombucha. And you can add different flavorings to that. As you even see at the grocery store, there's a whole host of different flavored kombuchas, but you can do that very easily at home with different juices, fruits, whatever you want to add to it. But Cian, my friend again at Farmhouse Teas, has made this so easy to do because she's got a turmeric ginger peach flavoring. And what this is a kombucha flavoring for the second ferments. And I just think that this must be extremely tasty. And so not only are you getting all the benefits of the anti-inflammatory processes of the black tea that you've made your kombucha with, you can now do a second ferment and you've got turmeric, ginger, and peach. And I'm just guessing, I have not made this yet, but I can't wait to try it. I'm guessing this is going to be a really delicious type of kombucha. And again, you're boosting the anti-inflammatory properties with the turmeric and the ginger, so you can't go wrong. Anti-inflammatory beverage number 5, tepache. If this type of beverage is new to you, don't worry. I have a very detailed video where I show you how to make this homemade, and I'll be sure to link to it in the description below. But basically what this is the rind of a pineapple that you ferment. And I absolutely love recipes like this because they're basically making use of scraps. When you cut up your fresh pineapple, you have that fruit to enjoy, but don't throw out the rind. Now, yes, can you use that to make pineapple scrap vinegar like I've showed you in the past? Definitely. However, you may want to use that rind to make tepache. This is very easy to make, as I show you in that video, where basically you're using the rind of the pineapple, some unrefined sweetener like a sucanat or a rapadura. You could use coconut sugar, maple sugar, any of those unrefined sweeteners, although things like the unrefined sugar cane are the most traditional. And then you want some cinnamon. and basically just cinnamon sticks. That's the basic traditional recipe. You allow it to ferment for a little bit. It makes a wonderful, tasty, effervescent beverage, similar to water kefir, similar to kombucha. They're all sort of in this same family of fermented sparkling beverages. And yes, like all of these fermented beverages, they're wonderful for gut health. However, they also contain anti-inflammatory properties. And the good news is, even after you're done making this, you don't have to throw out the rind that you've used to make the tepache. You're going to strain this, and then you're going to have those pieces of rind left over. You can add those to the core, and not the core, but the bottom and the top of the pineapple that you've sliced off when you were cutting this all up, that you set aside. You can now add that, and with those scraps, you can go to the next step and make the pineapple scrap vinegar, so nothing really goes to waste. Now, when I make my tepache, I like to also add the core of the pineapple. The core of the pineapple is very rich in bromelain, or bromelain, depending on how you say it. And it's often something that we don't consume. Many people will just discard it. But this bromelain is very high in anti-inflammatory properties. Not only does it help with digestion and allowing us to better digest our food, you'll often see these various natural digestive aids made from the core of the pineapple, and it'll say pineapple or bromelain, something like that, because it can really help us digest our food. However, it's very high in anti-inflammatory properties, especially when taken on an empty stomach. So you can enjoy this beverage maybe before you're eating a meal. Not only will it help you later to digest that meal, it will also help tamp down any inflammation that you may have in your body. So anti-inflammatory beverage number 5, tepache, or sparkling pineapple drink. Now, if you'd like to learn how to make a whole host of these types of beverages homemade, as well as other anti-inflammatory drinks and foods, be sure to click on this video over here where I show you how to make all that and more. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless.